Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. Southern Cross. It's the best cut gear in the business. We run it on our dogs. Hit up Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. Go to www.hogdoggear.com. If you're looking for Brahma and Brahma Cross cattle, Marc Rankin with the Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, he specializes in them. He is the man for the job. He's based out of Oglethorpe County, Georgia, and you can contact him at 407-832-2077.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties, 678-791-3483.
All right, everybody. Got Nate and Joey here again, doing a little Dixie Dogger podcast. Coming at you. We're going to start doing these of me and Nate like we used to do, but we're not going to do the 2 or 3 hour episodes or none of that stuff. We're going to do, 30, 45 minutes to an hour on some of these to more like the informative stuff. And then we're going to go from there with that and just kind of see how that works as some of these, to try to do some fill-ins, like if we have guests that are late or that have to cancel on us because real life happens. So some of those kind of deals there. That's what we're working on. So today, Nate wanted to talk about getting on like these properties that we have and new properties, learning your properties, figuring it out, doing your scouting and doing things like that. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So Nate, you want to roll into that and try to tell everybody what you got on your mind, homie?
So, this past weekend, we went and hunted some of our properties, and really, we've been getting beat by the pigs. They're hitting the creek, either that or they're like running down the creek and crossing somewhere. And so, a lot of it's real steep terrain and kind of just really hard for the dogs to keep up in a lot of it. Some of it's 70, 80%. So there's like 3 or 4 main creeks that we got to learn because basically the property makes like one big peninsula. And so on the left side of the property, you have Clifty Creek, and it goes in and it feeds in to Big Yellow Creek.
Don't tell them all our hunt spots, man. They'll be down there trying to sneak in on us.
Good luck.
Good luck with that. I'll just mess
Good
with
luck
you.
to it. Good luck to them. And so it wraps around the point to Big Yellow Creek. And then from there, Little Yellow Creek, and then up into Reese Creek. And so a lot of these areas are real steep, but they're not quite big enough to be called mountains. So like they're not named. So a lot of it's just real steep valleys and gullies. Some of it's forested, some of it's planted pine, some of it's cut over. And so a lot of these areas, like the valleys end right there at the creek. And so kind of don't know where, and some of it you can't get down. So like some of it's bluff, like as you would imagine on Clifty Creek, a lot of that you can't access. But we went down there and we found the head of one big wide flat open valley and walked it back up and kind of figured out, hey, the pigs are using this as the direct travel corridor. At some point in time, there was older sign, few day old sign, nothing crazy, but you could tell like the pigs had walked through there. And so basically our hunch is that if you you can start the race backward of where you've been beat. Maybe you can get the pig to make a mistake or get the boar hog to make a mistake, and he'd go somewhere that he hadn't really been through before. And, we could get him in a bind a little bit quicker instead of a mile and a half, 2 mile. Maybe we can shorten it some.
Yeah, it's just longer races like that. And that type of terrain takes such a toll on the dogs because like with the Garmin and Doctor, whatever tracking stuff you're using, they don't track the contour.
Mm-mm.
So like they only track from point A to point B flat.
Yep.
So if your dog has ran 6 miles, in theory, that's what it would be, 6 miles there. But in reality, your dog has ran 30 miles because you start, like you said, anywhere from 60, 70% grade. When you're looking at something as simple as 200 feet elevation change, but that 200 feet elevation change is not a long, easy slope. Mm-hmm. It's not straight up and down, but it's just about. It's very close. Mm-hmm. It's to the point where it's very dangerous as well for humans just to climb up and down. You can't do it fast. Mm-hmm. So these dogs, they're designed, the ones that we've been breeding up for years and that we went through and kind of picked that worked the best for the terrain, they can only go so fast no matter what. Yeah. You can take a greyhound and put out here and it's going to do you zero bit of good. Mm-hmm. You can take a hound, the fastest hound you have, and put it right beside the fastest cur dog, right beside the fastest terrier, right beside the fastest beagle or whatever you got. And it's going to throttle them all back. I promise you. Like, they're not going to be able to run wide open.
No.
It's just not like that. So therefore
they could get hurt.
And that's the thing about it. Like, if you've never watched a race just in thick stuff, you watch a 20 pound show or 30 to 40 pounds, whatever, watch it outrun. I put it this way, watch a 50 pound pig outrun a 50 pound dog. Mm-hmm. Put them in the thick stuff and actually be where you can see how smooth that pig runs, and you'll see the difference.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're going to get smoked. And if you don't have some type of advantage, you're going to get outran a lot. Yeah. And with young dogs, it's really tough anyway, but mm-hmm. being able to start on out, I already know there's listeners just like they already know all this 100%. And there's some listeners that don't know all this and they don't think about thermals. They don't think about the actual thermocline and the way the wind direction will affect you in your hunt. So with doing what Nate's talking about doing, starting backwards than what we've normally been running, now we got to work with that wind too, because most of the places he's talking about starting is going to be on the south end. And this time of year, we got a lot of north wind. So they're going to smell us. So you got to be very careful on the way we do it.
Oh, for sure. But my thought is, like if you walk a trail every day and you walk it one way, basically, like if you made a loop and kept like walking it, like if anybody's ever ran a trap line or walked down a hiking trail a bunch, okay, walk it backwards and tell me how confusing that shit gets quick. Mm-hmm. And then you add in the added stress of the dogs. It's like, I think you could definitely get a real smart pig to act kind of dumb. And we've definitely done it before in some actually worse terrain.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like gullies and stuff up there at the farm. And it's like, we went from mile-long races there to we bayed several at 300 to 400 yards.
And we have them stuck. We have them done.
And like bayed, like he like not even having to run and catch dogs.
The last good race that we had up there, mm-hmm. our last good run was that probably that day midnight walk bayed that one. And we mm-hmm. had 5 within 700 yards.
Yes.
And that before it was 3 miles.
Yes.
2-3 mile all the time. Mile was everything.
Yes. And then another thing we was doing basically is
that was on the south side too.
Oh yes. And so like it's not real hot right now and we can like go hunt and do whatever we want. And so one good way to get your dogs in some better shape is to hunt them in some rougher country. And like Dad and I was talking is like the dog ain't going to get real hot because once the dog starts getting real hot, basically it ain't going to build muscle as efficiently because its body's too busy wicking moisture away. And once it gets too hot, it starts eating itself, which is then heat stroke. But so like you can hunt a dog really hard in like real steep terrain and it builds some muscle. And then once it gets hotter, it's going to be like more of like a bodybuilder cut as long as you hunt your dogs regularly. So by the time they're in summer, they're in good condition, lean, mean, or early spring. Or if you do it quick enough, hell, they're going to get in good condition in just a few weeks if you hunt them real hard. Now, we also got a lot of rock and stuff. So, helps with the pads, stuff like that, toughen them up because there's still plenty of leaf litter and stuff they're running through, but there's definitely some rock. It ain't going to be as hard on them as like if we just straight up road hunted them or roaded them. Because sometimes like we typically don't have issues, but any dog's going to be a little sore-footed if you hunt the motherfucker 15, 20 miles.
Mm.
Like,
we don't really have a lot of issues at all with the pads, but at the same time, it could always happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one reason why we don't, because like our first few hunts usually are a lot tougher, but the last 2, maybe even 3 years, we've been traveling so much.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hunt at home near as much as we were. I know for the past 2 solid years.
Yeah.
I mean, we still hunt, but not nowhere near. Like, even if we're in Alabama, we're hunting easier properties. I hate to say it like that, but it is. It's easier properties. And so the dogs, we have a lot of young dogs right now. And we have dogs that are really coming into their own. And once they get to that point, it's like, okay, if we're down here running in softer dirt, river bottoms, stuff like that, you know, their pads they'll toughen up, but it takes a lot longer than if we start them out as in puppies. They're started in rock.
Mm-hmm.
My whole yard is rock. Everything out here, everywhere that we go is rock. When the only time that there's any dirt is on the dirt roads, and it's red clay with rock. And it seems to be really, you know, really good for their pads to keep them toughened up. But like when we were down at Logan Campbell's, that old gumbo mud where it dries hard, it was tough on the dogs' feet.
Yes, it was.
Because it was really, really dry outside. In all the river bottoms, it was just dry. That old black mud was white, was gray, and it was so hard on their feet.
Yes, it was.
I mean, I don't remember which one it was, Midnight, or it might have been Sally. I think it was Sally. One of them that come back, like her pads were pulled.
Yeah, they were.
That's the first time we'd ever pulled them. Didn't Louis? Or was it? One of them, I think one of the dogs, their pads kind of pulled.
I don't remember.
It might not have been on that one. It might have been down at Henry. I think it was down at Henry's.
Maybe so.
When Louis did. But that's also because like they were in races that were miles and miles and miles. And we don't really run like that. So it's having them feet toughened up. That goes into that scouting part, what we're using. Instead of going and just catching pig after pig after pig, which we probably couldn't even do if we wanted to.
No.
So therefore we get down in there and we try to learn that property with those young dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it gets to the point where we're like, okay, we want to go catch a pig or bay a group of hogs or whatever, we put in our time. We know which way they're going to run for the most part. And we try to compensate for that.
Yeah. So we know the pigs are beating us at the water. Because like when we say like Big Yellow Creek,
it's been there for 20 years. It's whooped us at about the same spot.
Yes. And
sometimes
it's probably 100 yards across at least. Some areas probably more. Clifty Creek's probably the same.
I was going to say that's all inlets to the river.
Yeah. So I mean these are really big, deep bodies of water. And like say deep, they're probably, I'd say at least 20 foot deep in most of those areas, or if not more. So some of the areas, once you start getting out in Big Yellow Creek, they can get sketchy deep, 60, 80 foot deep against like some of them bluff walls. And so a lot of pigs, or most pigs, they just use same travel corridors. And with the mountains, it's pretty easy because a lot of times, unless it's a real flat sloping ridge, if it don't end in a bluff, they're going to use it. If it ends in a bluff, they're probably not going to use it. They're probably going to hit the valley. So a lot of times you can find these valleys.
But if a dog's on them, they will use that bluff. Because you put a video up of that shit.
They'll start making mistakes.
Yep.
When you run them motherfuckers backwards. Or if you could just get them in a bind. If you put that stress on them, they'll do something silly. It's like somebody practicing for the ACT versus taking it. During practice, they feel way easier about it. During it, they might lock up and get some stress going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, pigs are going to use travel corridors to move from bedding to feeding to water areas. So they're going to use the valley or going to use the ridge. Like I said, the ridge, if it has bluff, ain't going to use it. Valley, they're probably going to use it. And especially if it has like a little watershed running through it, they're definitely going to use it. And so what we were doing is going and checking every place that moved from thick cut over to basically valleys that went down to the river. And we checked, 6 of those? And I think at one of them there was 0 pig sign. All the other ones had at least pigs had moved through there.
And the one had, which one had no pig sign?
I think the big holler. I think the big holler's the only one that didn't have any pig sign within a month.
Yeah, because
but the pig sign's probably on the very end of the holler. We were just at the head of it.
Yeah, I was thinking, say y'all were at the far end down there. Yeah. That was the first one we dropped off of. Yeah. 0 sign. And that's where we normally jump them.
Yes.
And which we haven't hunted in a while with deer season and all that, but still. But having those hogs and putting them in a bind or switching them up or doing something to get them out of their normal routine. Like you hear guys that talk about running these hogs that run the same pattern. Mm-hmm. And listen, I'm not saying that I can catch that hog by no means. Not saying that.
But sometimes they're gonna beat you.
If you can get him to make a mistake. And I know two of the best guys, or 2 of the guys that I've hunted with, that me and you went was Henry Williams and Logan Campbell. They run those same, very, very similar dogs, very similar country.
Very similar hogs.
What did they say? We got to get him to make a mistake.
Yes.
Logan's hog, the last day that we ran, the son of a bitch, he wasn't making a mistake. And when I tell you that, you could dump all you wanted on him, pack all the heat you wanted to, and he had it. He had it. And he done it. And at Henry's, that one made a mistake.
He went out in the soybeans.
Cotton field.
Or cotton field. Yeah,
when he hit that cotton field, we were like, and one of the main reasons was all of us understanding the goal. Keep him in that cotton field. Because I promise you, the Toyota Diaries, I've got video, and I started doing that on my TikTok thing, the Toyota Diaries, because when I tell you that little black truck of Rodney Bell's was humming, that son of a bitch was humming like a $20 a hooker on Saturday night, needing some money for Sunday morning. I'm talking about humming. But every time you could see the damn field, you could see them cotton stalks just shaking, and that hog would come right to the edge of the road, and we'd be running. We'd parallel him. Dogs were burning his ass up.
It was hot.
And then he turned back around. We'd done it, 4 or 5 times?
At least.
In 100-acre block?
Yeah.
And then, Gabe, he was on the far end, took that bulldog and dumped him, made him
yeah.
He said, I'm tired of this shit, but that's what you got to do. He made a mistake. And for
that pig really wasn't even that big. But
175 pounds, 180?
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't think
that son bitch could run, though.
Bro, he was an athlete. He was definitely an athlete. There's no doubt about it. But those dogs, P wasn't even breathing hard, bud. It was 102 degrees. And that sumbitch was I think we finally wound up getting it done at 1:30 or 2 o'clock?
No, it was before that.
Yeah, because we left at 2 o'clock coming home.
Yeah.
I think we got it done right at 11:30, 11:45, because it was really getting hot.
Because we started early.
We dumped out at daylight.
Yeah.
Because we caught several.
Just breaking.
We caught several right there. Midnight, Sally went down there and bait some to the left. Then they split up. Louis, M&M went to the right, and they were baying in there. Then Henry and Gabe they turned their dogs loose. I was trying to think, then they turned their dogs loose to it, and then it was just a race from then on. Like I said, we caught several. But it was all about getting the hog to make a mistake. And I think that maybe sometimes people get so lax about it, they just let the dogs run the hogs and forget that they're part of the hunt, that the people are part of the hunt. And if you can get out there and help the hog mess up or cut it off or do whatever, some people are they're not going to shoot a hog. They're not going to try to block a hog off. They're not going to do nothing. They want the dogs to do it. And I fully understand. I do. But at the same time, if I'm out there and I'm trying to catch this damn hog, I'm going to do what I can do to catch it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Tell them something else, Nate.
Yeah, I was about to. I didn't know you just started talking.
Oh, so I was done what I said. My sentence or my conversation part.
We'll be back after a quick break.
A quick thanks to supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast: Southern Cross Cut Gear, UC Hunting Properties, Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, Animal Housing Solutions, Boars N Broads, Ada Y Transport, Crockett Taxidermy and Processing. So, I mean, another thing definitely looking for is just other animal movement. Seeing if like deer, bobcats, fox, stuff like that. Moving through there, look through for some turkey roosts, different things like that. Found a couple old sets of gray fox tracks, but that's about it. Seen, of course, shit ton of deer tracks everywhere. But really just, like I said, trying to find those travel corridors that the pigs are using. And so that way you can kind of walk through those valleys and, only the bad ones are going to be the most memorable. So you're going to usually remember the ones with like, this one's got like this giant bluff at the end, or like you can only walk down on this one side of this valley or this ridge. And typically the good ones, it's like, don't really remember them because nothing bad stuck out in my mind. And it's like, especially like on the Clifty Creek side, the most important thing is getting on some of those like steeper terrain areas, 70, 80%, where it's like damn near vertical. Well, there's a couple areas where there's little small valleys and they're just super steep, but they're like 60% and you can actually get down them and they go all the way down to the water. So kind of knowing some of those, because sometimes the damn dogs swim the river and you got to get through certain areas and there's only one spot to actually get down to the water and down 500 yards, 1,000 yards, and knowing a handful of those helps.
Without a doubt. It's everywhere we go. Like if we're going to hunt that place, and I don't mean like hunt it one time, like hunt it, then we might turn the dogs loose and run it on some good sign if we find sign pretty easy. But if we don't, because like I said, our hog population is not like most places. If not, then we go scout. We get out, we put boots on the ground, we get out, we walk. And a lot of times it's literally just that. It's taking really, really young puppies for a walk in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hunting at all. We're hunting sign. That's what we're doing. And then we try to figure that out. Like, okay, how they running? Which direction do we need to be coming from? And try to figure out how to hunt some of these properties. Because if you ain't got a plan and you get stretched out, you're done here. It'll take you like, and we've been in a position like that to where the dogs did something we didn't expect. And to get one hog, even after it was already struck and caught, it was hours and hours to get the hog took care of, to get the dogs and to pack it out because the dogs were shit wrecked. And that can happen. And if you don't have that kind of dog power, and I don't mean like your dogs ain't no good power. I mean like run and catch dog, real rough dogs that can hang in there. If you don't have those type dogs, then they don't need to be caught for 30 minutes or an hour. And I know there's a lot of people out there that's like, I ain't never seen a dog catch for an hour. I've seen a bunch of them. I've seen a lot of them. I've seen a lot of them die. That's a fact. I've seen a lot of them heat stroke. I've seen a lot of them just cut to pieces. It's not the optimum part of the deal. That's not what we want to do. That's also why we try to spread this awareness.
Yeah.
It's about trying to be a better dog man and dog person in general to set yourself up for success, set your dogs up for success mainly.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have that, I don't know, I guess you got to have that intuitiveness about you to say, hey, I feel like I need to go here. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by like the intuition part. Then you got to have the initiative to say, okay, I need to go over here and do this, and I got to get off my ass. Get up off your ass, get the dogs loaded in the truck, go to where you're going to go, And if you need to leave them in the box, leave them in the box. Get out and go walking.
Oh, yeah.
Find you something.
It's good exercise for you as well. I mean, there's nothing worse than when you're hunting. And I've seen a lot of people in the bind of where they can't go. They get sick, they get hot, they're puking, or they're getting cramps, or they're out of shape. And it's not good for anybody. It's ruining your hunt. It's ruining the dog's hunt. I mean, the pig could get away, the dog could get hurt, or it's just not ideal to not be in shape. And the easiest way to get in shape is usually just doing a decent amount of walking or hiking. And it's like, you ain't got to hunt like that all the time. Like I said, that's mainly why we're doing it now, why it's not so hot. So it ain't out there damn dying.
You say we did it every year. The first 2 or 3 hunts, we would go to the worst, the absolute worst spot that I had. And everybody's like, why do you do this? I'm like, so that way when I get to the best spots, I'm not wore out so bad. And I ain't going to lie, the first hunt of the year for me is physical. It's tough.
Oh, yeah.
But, and like a lot, like, there goes hand in hand. A lot of places people can hunt year round, so they don't have to get ready because they're always running. If we ran year round, I'd probably look like Sam Sulik does right now with that bodybuilder cut you was talking about. But we don't. So deer season ruins my physique. And I have to get pumped back up and train back up.
We do a lot of night hunting. And
no, we don't. That's illegal. Are you talking about on hogs? I thought you said deer. I was talking about deer.
No.
Nobody spotlights deer.
Do some coon dog training.
No, you're not coon dog training.
Oh, yeah. I'm a horrible coon dog trainer.
You're running my damn hog dog on coons. That some bitch tried to tree a coon while we was hog hunting.
She tried to tree a few. Every time we went to a bait pile, she checked trees around it.
Yeah.
And she treed at one of them.
Hey, appreciate whoever bait pile that was. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, fellow.
Like, they treat hard.
Thank you, fellow club member. There was a bunch of turkeys on that.
And it was cool. And I will have to give that shout out because this was somebody that's in the same hunting club. We didn't know.
Had no clue the bait pile.
We had no clue. Like, I literally pulled right on top of the bait pile.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and that dog is blowing the leaves out of the top. And like 4 dogs are treeing. I'm like, we're supposed to be hog hunting, but I like this. So all I could think about was Pat Lewing in the background, up there clapping and laughing and hooping and hollering because it's a blue tick tree. And hell, I think even that damn running walker was trying to tree a little bit. I don't know what was going on. But anyway, so we pull right on top of this guy's bait pile. And then like an hour later, I get a picture. My wife sends me a picture of me. She's like, I see you. I was like, damn. I said, whose camera is that? I said, somebody on Facebook raising hell, ain't they? And she said, no. She said it was actually so-and-so. I'm not going to say their name because they might not want it. But anyway, so it was somebody that we had known for a long time. Actually, it was a girl, I think you went to school with her, didn't you, Nate?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
we were in the same grade. She
was like, hey, tell Mr. Joey the pigs ain't there right now. They come out between 5 and 8. I was like, oh, this is, most of the time it's like people calling saying, get the fuck out in front of my camera. I don't know who the hell you think you are. But like, anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. We try to get along with everybody that we can, that will let us.
For sure.
Sometimes people don't want to let us.
No.
So, but anyways, just do your scouting, do your homework, try to get you a game plan. Look at a topo map before you ever go. If you need to, if you don't know the property, and that's kind of what I guess would be like the title for this would be something more like that. New properties and learning your property. That would be more along the lines of the topic. So, I mean, just do that. That's all we can do. So,
sure.
We appreciate y'all. We're going to keep trying to do these little shorter ones right here. So that way y'all can, and if it's informative and you learn something, awesome. We appreciate y'all. Until the next time, we'll see you.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.